All right, I'm back. So, what am I doing now? Well, so I finished testing the escape block that's got numbers. Went through and did some minor editing on all of my other skills to make sure that I have a default that's going to start returning based on my new logic of of getting something back for even those players that don't have any of the skill requirements. Um, so what I'm doing right now, besides updating this, what else is this? All right, that's close enough for now. Okay, so the idea here is that I've got these four skills. Now, this is the last of the non QB skills, non QB specific skills. Um, the QB specific skills are accuracy related. So like they're at range, coverage awareness, rush awareness, and all the at range skills, which are like how they do BLS, 1 to 10, 10 to 50. Because not all QBs are equally accurate or equally successful at various ranges. And I, I truly believe that some players actually are better some years than others. I mean, not just in how they succeeded at one particular time, but maybe one year their accuracy was just off. I mean, think about Peyton Manning, right? I mean, when he came back to Denver, he was pretty good. He could still throw, but he didn't have the arm he once did. And oftentimes, that probably changes for a lot of quarterbacks. I would expect, in fact, that um, that as players age, they often do lose a little bit of their oomph, their distance. Not all of them. Some guys probably do pretty good. I mean, uh, Tom Brady, when he was done, he wasn't throwing as far. Still accurate, still could do some 10s to 20s, but big bombs, stuff like that, not as often. Um, so I mean, like, so in my thought is, what I have is general skills, offensive skills, defensive skills, and I'll probably break out QB skills primarily to keep my file from getting too big, because these do start getting big after a while. You start adding all these skills in, like I'm adding in punt return, kick return, and the yak and the YPR. And both of those are important because those are bonus values. These are going to be used in the game to kind of allow for the players to uh, get odd yards. Because the way I'm developing the game is you always get either 2.5, I think it's 5 yard increments. But each player who has the ball has um, a YPR or a yak that goes into that, which is usually some value between 0 and 5. And then every player on the defensive side is going to have some value between 0 and 5 in the opposite direction. So these values allow for that middle zone. So when tackles are made and things occur, they end up at this yard line or that yard line. And then there is the the referee logic that allows for a little variance there. Also allows for you to do things like challenges and things like that, because the ref still has to make a decision on where that ball lands. And based on where the ref puts it, there will be certain kinds of information and such that come back to you to decide what are your odds of success. You may have good odds, you may have bad odds, but how important is it to you to try to get that challenge to succeed. I mean, what is your risk tolerance for that? So a lot of that's going to be down to your ref or your coach. Your coach will have certain risk tolerances to decide whether or not he's going to challenge. You can't challenge. You can put in some information that says you would like, you might set your own. There might be some values stated in the game plan that can set up where you get to kind of define the game plan. But the coach ultimately always makes the decision. So even if you pick a coach that pretty much does what you say, he still has a choice of potential options. But what might happen is your choices will be high percentage opportunities. So he may have his proclivities, but he's going to also have a desire to please you, and he's going to do what you want more often than not. But that said, those coaches may or may not come with the other stuff that you really want in a coach. So, you got to decide. So what I'm actually kind of at some point, I'd like to build in a financial system that's not just about the salary cap, because you have that. But typically, I think typically teams have the money to pay their players. They have their money to pay the players, so they can hit the salary cap if they want to. I'm not totally sure how that plays out. I'm not sure how like a rich area, what do you call it, a rich team who's doing really, really well versus a team that's doing really poor in a poor area. Like, say, what if Kansas City's just tanking it? Are they making as much money? Are they able to pay their players? I mean, how does that work if their owner isn't rich? I don't know. But like I said, I want to have some kind of a financial system set up where when you hire coaches, and really what it might come down to is it's not so much about what you can afford so much as whether or not coaches want to coach for you. What does your team offer for them? And you can pay their salary because whatever the heck, I mean, I don't even know what are the things that, is it always about salary in the end? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you've got 3 teams that want you, is it always about salary? I don't know. I'll have to do some research on coaches on how to set that up. But I haven't come down to I haven't made that decision yet. So anyway, it's yards per rush bonus. We're going to go task, yards after catch. Okay, so and then the only other thing is for me these are the last 4 skills. I've done all the defensive, most of the general skills. I don't think, was there any more? I don't think. YPR. Oh, yeah, so these are all QB skills that I have to put into the QB skill. But I have break tackles. I have the turnover, injury proneness. I have to have kicking and punting. Shoot. I still got some skills, man. I still got to do some skills. Escape block, run defense, pass defense, tackle, kick, return, punt, return, speed, run defense, pass defense. Those are all done. Offensive line. I'm not doing the YPPB or the YPRB because I don't think in the game I may have things that kind of mimic that, but it's not going to be a stat that I calculate on. Because this was about an entire offense or defense providing functionality to your team, giving your your team a little bit of a boost because they're that good. But that was always because I did it as a full team. Something like that might come as a cohesion team. Because I have team cohesion and I have what is the other one? Team. I always forget the terms. I probably wrote it down somewhere. Team cohesion and synergy. Um, Player synergy is about individuals interacting, and team cohesion is about the team being better. So, like, if you've got and the way team cohesion works is it's about getting players from the same base team. You have more team cohesion for teams that are like all Patriots or all Broncos or all. And again, I'm using those names; they aren't in the game, but same kind of theory. So I may have to come up with a logic that actually puts them maybe two kinds of cohesion. You know, you got maybe not. I was thinking, by their mascot cohesion, which means they would all be the same mascot. But then that's going to start looking like a race thing. I don't want to do that. It's like, no, it's not about race. It's just about they're peoples that work well together because they know each other. They know how each other works. Yeah, nah. I'll have to come up with a way to do it where I can link like all the players that were on the same team, and that's how. But the only problem with that is, since the players could be scattered over year in year out, it'd be harder and harder to get team cohesion, right? Because like if you strive to have a bunch of 2015 players on your team, but by the second or third year, they're well, I guess I could do it where they're the same team as they actually played on during the year that they were brought in. So it's like their their source team, because you could it's probably their source team would probably be the way to do that. So if you put a bunch of Broncos from their different sources, they could be Broncos that were drafted by Colts, but maybe you're putting a bunch of Broncos on the same team, you get a better team cohesion. The thought is I think that might be the better way. So I'll probably use their source team, which is not to say their mascot team or their drafted team. And I don't even have every player's drafted team in my system yet. I got to put them in because that's how we're going to determine who's what player, which is going to be fun. I gotta figure out how to get that in there. AI seems to think it can help me out with that. I've already asked. I did that this morning, but I need to find out the who drafted who. I mean, like, is John Elway, since he never played for the Colts, always is he a Colt? Would he be a originating team? But since he was drafted by the Colts, wasn't actually a Bronco at the start, but he was a Colt. And then he just got traded because he said he wasn't going to play. He says, "Nope, not doing it. Not playing for the Colts." This is back when the Colts were crap, right? No players. You know, I'm sure it happens if they just the team that they just have. I don't know if let's go see if the AI even knows. I never really I never knew why he was so adamant about not playing. Do you know the reason why John Elway was so adamant about not playing for the Colts? Is it simply because they were bad or something else? John Elway's refusal to play for the Colts in '83 stemmed from a mix of concerns about the team's dysfunction, its leadership, and its own leverage as a two-sport athlete. Here's the breakdown. The Colts are in a rough spot. they'd won only 9 games over the previous 3 seasons, and their ownership was widely seen as erratic and unstable. Head coach Frank Kush had a reputation as a harsh disciplinarian which clashed with Elway's expectations for a supportive environment. Elway had been drafted by the Yankees in '81 and was a legitimate baseball prospect. He used that as leverage, threatening to play baseball instead of joining the Colts. His agent reportedly had discussions with George Steinbrenner about a contract that would pay him $500,000 a year, which gave Elway real negotiating power. Back then, that was probably decent for a rookie, right? Personal and strategic concerns. Elway publicly stated he didn't believe the Colts would allow him to be successful. There were also whispers of personal friction between Elway and Colts management, though that's less documented. Eventually, the Colts drafted him anyway, and Elway forced a trade to the Broncos. The return, Mark Herman, Chris Hinton, and 1984 first-round pick that became Ron Solt, not exactly a haul for a future Hall of Famer. It's classic case of player betting on himself and winning. Want to compare this to Eli Manning's draft drama or dive into this? No, I don't. I was just curious. What does that got to do with your game, Ken? Just about whether or not, how that affects my thing. So yeah, he was drafted by the Colts, and so theoretically, he would be in the game as a Colt, I guess, if I know what that is, because problem is, would there be history of that? Like, if I was to say, I'd have to pick every player and who they were drafted by and somehow map that to every player, because that's what makes them their mascot. And then I have to have their source city, which is what I have right now is their source city. I don't have their drafted by values, so I have to figure out who every player was drafted by, which could be interesting because not every player is easily linked to the team they were drafted by. Yes, but if you got two players that have the same name, I could easily get that wrong. Hey Karama, how you doing, man? So yeah, it's kind of a tough thing for me. I got to figure that out. Like I said, AI gave me a clue that says it could probably help me get that information. So it's not there. I'd have to write a Python script. There is a Python source data for NFL stats that a lot of locations are using, and they call and pull from it. But I don't know Python, so it'll be another language I'm fiddling with. One of the many to get this game fully functional. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get moving. What time is it? It's been 20 minutes on this stream. Like I said, I'm trying to keep my streams much shorter, around an hour instead of longer. It gives me a chance to work a little bit more on my own, like I was able to get some other stuff done. Plus, just too long means less interest. You know, people just kind of come in, they disappear. Ideally, a lot of my streams, I would like to start recording them and breaking them down into smaller, bite-sized chunks, which right now, it has a lot to do with what have I done that's worth anything on that particular recording. And then I might combine a couple of them and get bits and pieces, that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's see if I can get this punt return skill. I don't know all, let's go see what I have for my punt return skill data. It's a little different for defenders. Actually, I don't even know if it is. It might be the same. Let's go see. Now, this is my stats and the formulas I've already built. So I got to go to DP adjusted PR average. Let's see, where is this value? Aha, this one, way back here. DP adjusted PR value. Okay. Which is a value of end punt returns. And DB punt returns. DB punt returns, yes. probably all this stuff. Is that this one? DB punt returns. All right. Returns. PR on the returns stats. Where is my stats? Where's they at, man? Come, it's not. It's my stats. I'm clicking it. PR on returns. Oh, is it kick returns? Did I change? Oh, it's IND returns now. That's why. I got some weird. My computer is not responding to my clicks anymore. I'd probably say that's bad. I'm not sure why I renamed that one, to be honest. Well, that didn't do anything. Oh, okay. I don't have very many guys with it then. 21, 1, 13. Guess that makes sense. There wouldn't be that many players with those values because not everybody does punt returns. And that's probably an end Wait a minute. How come these ones get stat? Wait a minute. Wait a minute, do I have a returns? There's end returns. I do have a returns. What the heck? Why do I have both? That's not confusing at all. Okay. So I got individual returns. Why do I have both? I don't know, man. Some of this is old data. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, I got 2 more fields on here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Oh, I guess I could just go by the P, A, B, C. It's all the way up to P. It's not the end. Yeah, there's 2 more fields here. Are they the same? Let's go to data. Sort. By player. Okay. So we got Aaron Brown. Are they the same values? Doesn't have any punt returns, but that makes sense. Seems like there's more data here though. Huh? 42 times he returned the ball, 952. Nope, guess not. The big thing is he's also got return yards and return TDs, which I guess this doesn't have. Kick return TDs. Oh, it doesn't have yards. Wait, punt return yards. Kick return yards. Okay, wait, I don't know what's missing. His long? Okay, so there's no long. Punt, fair catch. There is no kick, fair catch. That doesn't exist. Punt return, long, TD. Okay, what's the difference between punt TD, TD, and return TD? Return yards and return TD are slightly different. So this must be combining them for those players that had both. And then I don't have a combined here. Okay, so yeah, okay, so it's the yardage. That's the only thing that's different. There isn't a combined yardage here. It just says punt returns, punt fair catches, punt return yards, punt return average, long, punt return TD. Not very many of them. There's not a lot of punt return TDs. Kick returns, kick return TDs, averages and yards. But the only difference is this one will go as far as to give me some combined values, which is just total touchdowns and total yards, which is pretty minimal. I mean, I guess I could take it if I wanted to take like a shortcut to those values. Ultimately, punt return and kick return are like the same stat. It's just apparently different players there is a difference apparently on how teams will position players. I looked it up, did some research, asked Google, asked AI, and apparently there is a difference between how the teams will assign punt return and kick return duties. I didn't know that. I always thought they were kind of like, you know, the only reason you have two different players for it is so that you have two different players if one of them gets hurt. That's what I thought. So these guys only have no values because there just isn't many values to be had. I don't know if I like the logic for this though, because look how few I have, 3 and 1. Whatever it is, there's just not many. Oh, let's go see if there's more on wide receivers. Yeah, more players have stats here. Now, I don't know if I have this set up as I think I have it set up as bonus, because the way I was running the game, the tabletop game, is Anyway, like I was saying, the way I was running the tabletop game is I would have a bonus that would go to players whenever they did a thing that had a bonus. Like I said, it was like the running of a bonus, and it's a value that you add on to whatever they actually did that results in their yards that they return. However, I don't think that's going to work in the same way on this game. For one, that game had a lot of logic that was just, hey, this is the result of the play, or this is where you are at this moment. And I have to decide. There's going to be a lot of weird stuff. I got to figure it out. But essentially with this, I don't know if I can do that much of a bonus. The idea of a bonus is you get a little bit extra into the 5 yards, and that's all it is. You can't have a situation where a guy's tackled on the 10, but you give him a 10-yard bonus and they end up getting 20. Even if it is a kick return, which 20 is not unrealistic. But it's unrealistic if that's where things appear to have ended. Sorry about that. Wife was asking me about scrap. Scrap wood that I could use. Our fence is a mess. It's falling down. And so I keep patching it with various amounts of wood. So I've been buying these small beams and attaching them so that the planks would stop falling out of the fence. It's that cheap hardware store or Home Depot slot fence where you put these chunks of slot into the ground, and maybe at the time they seem like a good idea, but you learn later that they are not. So the thing is, replacing the fence is like a $20,000 effort, and I don't know if I can get all. I could even get the lumber for, you know, how many thousands less I could get the lumber for and do it myself. But I would like to just do vinyl. But in the meantime, I've just been patching and trying to keep the fence from falling over. It's like, no, it's falling. I mean, by what I mean by keeping it falling, I mean keep it from falling over. Like it's falling, and I put these round wooden beams, which of course will just rot in their own time, up, and I push them up against the fence and put them down, and they're acting like a brace to hold the fence up, which is. It's just a mess. So once that wood kind of rots a little bit, it'll start to slip, and then the thing will start to fall again. It's not a good thing. I've thought about just buying chunks and trying to replace just pieces at a time, but again, unemployed for over a year now. And I don't want to do anything extra because I'm just burning through retirement stuff at a penalty of 10%. So, yeah, not interested. Not going to be doing that. Okay, so where was I? So, still have to figure out. I guess it doesn't matter. I can calculate the punt return and the kick return numbers. How I utilize them will be decided later. Essentially, that's what's going to come down to. And I'm not even sure how. See, having it set up as a bonus is a thing, but at the same time, what I may have to do is be set up as a speed bonus. So if a player, I mean, these guys are already pretty fast, but I don't know. I haven't figured out how. Maybe it will just be a punt return or kick return add-on bonus of some number that only applies to them when they do kick returns and punt returns. It doesn't apply like the YPR, which would basically make all of them bonuses. Because I don't know. What I could do is make it a bonus that's applied to both how well they break tackles and how and a bonus at the end. I don't know. It's going to have to be some little number that can tweak things in their favor when they're doing punt returns and kick returns. And the same kind of goes for, well, YPR and what Yak already work like I want them to, but punt return and kick return are different. I don't know that a couple of yards is going to make a difference. Is all I'm saying. If you've got a guy who's averaging 15 yards a kick return, well, what makes him so good at that, right? Why is he more successful there versus a guy who's averaging 2? You know, he has 6 returns, but he only gets 2 on the average. It would be, what is it that makes them I mean, it comes down to how scattered players are on kick returns and punt returns, right? How good is a player at navigating the field? You know what? I think they're all going to be bonuses. Because I honestly think that their bonuses mean it's a small thing. It's not it doesn't really make them great at punt return. It just makes every player can do a punt return, but what's the bonus that goes with them? Like every player can do a run, but not all players are going to have a YPR bonus or a Yak bonus. Most of them will have 0 if you're just doing none. And then it's like your ability to break tackles will be the only thing you have going for you. But these guys are going to have both. Good running backs will have both. Or cat receivers. But essentially I think they're all going to have to be the same. But I might have to figure out a way to enhance players for a season based on their punt return and their kick return. Yeah, I got to make that worth something. More than just a couple of 1 or 2 or 3 yards or 4 yards or whatever. I think what it, I think it is going to have to turn into something like a break tackle bonus, or because ultimately I think a break tackle bonus. We'll call it a skill because I'll use it on both. I'll lie. I'm not. Let's go bonus. My brain is my bonus and bonus. All right. Just makes more sense. All these are going to end up being bonuses. And some of these, although they'll be in here, may not actually get ratings. They won't, like a person's run skill. How do I, well, I guess it could still be a rating. But I may have to create a rating that's actually a combination of these two skills, like their YPR and their break tackle. Makes them a better, a a true skill is the rating skill might have to be some combination of the two. Even though I don't use them as a combined value, there's different reasons, different times and places to use each one. But I think there has to be some, because I don't have a run skill or I have a hand skill. I can but even then I have to do hands and yak because they're not working together. They're values that are built off of separate things. So break tackle is kind of one's run skill, but anybody can theoretically break tackles, right? I guess I'd have to see who the top break tackles are, and once I run all this stuff and get some ratings, kind of get a feel for who is hitting the tops of these values, and see if it's the right kind of players. You know, like I would break tackles. The best players should be running backs. Hand skill, the best players should be receivers most of the time. Top 10, maybe it's 8 out of 10. Probably got some pretty good tight ends, and receivers in there, or tight ends and running backs that can catch too, but that's not really their main thing. Um, and if I break down these skills, then it all contributes to their overall. And some players will have different overalls. Huh. They all wear different overalls. Some like the blue ones, some like the black ones, some like the gray ones, some like the brown ones. But they all get their overalls. It's not. Oh man, I don't know. Get a little loopy. All right, let's go finish. Now that I know what my thing is and how and what I'm going to do with it, and what kind of skills I'm looking for, by calling them bonuses, I'll know to treat them differently than a skill. A skill is high, a bonus is low, just because it's used differently. Okay. So that said, let's do punt return. I think ultimately they're all going to be kind of in the same values, and I don't really think there's that much to these. I have a feeling the punt returns and kick returns are all pretty small, small potatoes. So yeah, because we got plays to ratio, big play, run, punt return, kick return. Here we go, punt return and kick return, which is punt returns, which is these guys, which is going to be everybody who's on the returns table. Okay. And it's get stat returns, punt return average. All right, let's go ahead and get these. Let's go. I might be able to do a couple of these at once. So let's go ahead and do kick return and punt returns at the same time. Oops. No, I want to untoggle. Weird. Okay. Nope. I see. Maybe I can. Can I untoggle this? There we go. Alright, so yeah, that's not a thing. Say punt returns. Kick returns. And we're going to get player stats. Punt returns. Get punt return yards. That's pretty much all it is, I think. I mean, I have to do the math for it, but so let's see what's all in there. We're using punt returns, and punt returns, punt return average. Oh. Guess I'm not really using the punt return yards, but punt return average. Let's get punt return average. And we'll go back here and just say average too. This is probably a pretty simple one. That's why I think this is going to be pretty straightforward. This average, this to, oops, average. Alrighty, pretty easy peasy. What else we got in here? I don't know if there's much else. Like I said, this is a pretty simple one. It's just a simple mathanizing, taking the values and turning them into something useful. So we're going to have punt returns, individual punt returns, and punt return average. So it's, okay, so this one's using a max punt returns to decide. Okay, so part of what I've been doing with the old game is I scaled everybody against the most. So it's like, say there was a player who had 20 punt returns. Okay, so we would take the max of punt returns and whatever his value. Wait, why would I? Individual punt returns. Okay, so just in case he was more than the individual, I don't know why it would ever be more. All right, so this is what I'm talking about. If you look at this formula here, I got individual punt returns, which is it's basically a modifier like I've been using. And then I was doing a max. So it was basically taking his value versus this WRB punt returns, however his was. And it would take the bigger one. This should be the max. You should not have more. So I'm not sure. I guess the idea was it's kind of weird. I mean, ultimately, yes, I kind of sort of see what they're doing, what I was doing when I did this. The idea is that in relation to everybody else, how many punt returns is this person getting? So punt return adjusted average. That one was doing an adjusted average. So his was 12.7 or 8.7. And then out of a punt return average. So the idea, I think, was I would take his 27 or the individual punt returns, which I'm not sure what that was. Let's go see what the modifiers say that is. Individual. Oh, I got stuff hidden here. All right, so we got individual. Punt returns. So I have 30. So this would be the max of all punt returns. And this would be one of those that if I was going to use it, I would use that as the scalar to determine, okay, well, we're going to use this max value is 30. Now, and then I have 40 for kick return. So that's how many a player could have. So in theory, if I was to go over to I say in theory because I don't know for sure, but if I go over here to this punt returns, which may or may not actually show up. Hello. I don't know why I can't toggle my screen very well here. All right, here we go. Yeah, you're stupid. All right, so returns. So we got punt returns, and I said 30. This guy's 32. 31, 30. I don't know why I did 30. That's 39. I think, okay, so it was a weight control. Weight control? So it allowed everybody to have a divisor that was in relation to what they actually did. So the high players would get their maximum value. And it was basically, I think it was because I wanted to set it up on a scalar that kind of made the most you could possibly have and have multiple players who could have the multiple amount, even if their stat wasn't, like if let's say the bonus is 0 to 4 or 0 to 4.9. And yeah, so you're at 0 to 4.99 maybe even, because I'm going to allow decimals in this case. What I should do is actually allow values that are inches. So what would be that, 12th? What is a 12th of, what is a 12th? 08? So at every 0.08, you could go forward. So nine. So basically 4.96 would be the most you could do. 96 would be, well, I know you'd have to divide it by 12 every yard, right? So 12 would actually be 4 point, if you're taking an inch off of a yard, that'd be, oh, okay. So an inch off of a yard is 1/36th. That's why I'm thinking that's too weird. So a 36th is what? Two, not quite three, like two and a half. So 4.97 something. So 4.97 something would be the most, because 36, 60, yeah, so it would be 2 something. It might be, yeah, 4.97 something. I am going to probably just allow it to be not stabilized, but if, because I was just trying to do it like on a board game, so I would allow, you could have like several good punt returners would all have a 4 or, you know, or 3 or whatever the high value is, and it would cap it out. So you're always going to be able to get to the max. But players that were less than might get some number under that, like a 3, 2, or 1, because I only had 3 or 4 numbers to play with. But now I can do decimals all the way up to inches. So a good punt returner will actually get, you know, the best punt returner could potentially get a bonus of up to 4.97 something, which is pretty good for that. And it might even be something I could scale on. It's like I may have to figure out a way to scale everybody into the, like whatever their scale value is, I have to manipulate it so that it comes out to a 36th. Because I want, whenever that player gets hit, everything is done in inches. Football is a game of inches. You probably heard that before. So the idea is that players, you know, they get that plus minus inches on every yard, and then there's going to be, that's the end result. So what I probably should do is not worry about inches, and then just round to inches at the end of the impact, because some players will subtract, some will add, and blah, 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 and then you end up with, okay, let's round this to inches, which would be some amount of inches that cover that ground. So everything will be inches, and then we'll say, okay, this is how many yards you got. We round it to yards for the no, it would have to be rounded down because you're short. Because you can't give somebody 10 yards if they only got 9.9 yards. So you give them 9 yards. Some might say 9.5, but that's just an ouncer thing. But in general, he only gets credit for 9. In the NFL, you only get credit for a yard if you actually get the whole yard. So it's always rounded down. But the ball gets placed where they saw it. So it got rounded down, and yeah, if it was 9.9, they're going to give you 9.9-ish. Because they're refs. The ish is the ref factor. You may not get what you think you're getting. But you got to decide if you want to challenge it. I haven't got a way to prove your success. It'd be kind of cool if I could do videos or have some way to kind of go, hey, this is what you really got. But I haven't figured that out yet. So telling the game to make it look like you did one thing and then have the refs do another would be kind of hard. Because you could fail. So if the bigger refs may or may not, and then how do you make it look like, it's like, how do you make a video look like it's debatable? You know, it's like you'd have to have all these like video scenarios where the players come in. Then you have to be able to view those players and have a camera that can or cannot see those plays, and that just, yeah. I don't think I have. I don't know. I don't think that's going to be a thing. I'd have to have like the cameras from a mile away. Yep, kind of could be good or not. You know, and sometimes it's close and up close, and the ball lands. Um, I think it would have to be some kind of a. Man, I don't know how I would do it. I'm sure there might be a way to do it. I just don't know what that is. I don't know how. I think some games actually implement challenges in their games. Does or Madden, Madden or any other football game have challenges, and if so, do they actually implement it visually? You can press a button to challenge a play, like sideline catch or fumble. If the game allows it, a short cutscene plays showing the referee reviewing the play. Ah, see, that's good. Sometimes you'll see a replay angle, and then the ref announces the decision. Limited triggers. You can only challenge plays the game deems challengeable, even if a call looks clearly wrong. The game might say there's nothing to challenge. Many players report that even obvious missed calls rarely get overturned. Unlike real NFL officiating, Madden doesn't simulate referee bias, camera angle, ambiguity, or crowd influence. It's binary and canned. Well, my game, I'm not doing it binary, but I don't have a. I'm not, I don't. So they do it visually. If you're modeling realism in your football, this is a great area to innovate. Imagine a referee AI that weighs player ratings, crowd noise, and replay angles. Nah, that's not a thing. Player ratings and crowd noise? No, that's not. A challenge meter that reflects your coach's reputation or success rate. Maybe? No. I have a plan for this already. I was just trying to see how they do it. Where players can choose which angle to submit for review. That would be interesting. Camera angles. Camera angles. Well, the thing is, I don't know how Madden does it. See, I have logic in my game that's going to let me know the right answer. I know if it's right, but not every challenge is going to be right all the time. You still got refs that are refs, right? They're humans. They don't have the benefit of the computer logic saying, hey, this is definitely where the ball should have been. But my theory is the further off the refs are in my logic, the better your chance of success because it's more clearly obvious. Now, I'm talking about yards on the field. There are things that are kind of interesting, like, was the ball caught? I do have a theory to implement a bunch of challengeable plays. And I have thoughts on how I could implement that and allow for players to make a choice on every challengeable option. Now, not everything is always going to be even. It's not going to let you have an obvious catch and run, or if it's. But if it's like, if it's a difficult catch, it might show. Like if I decide to do some kind, I have to do some kind of a thing. Problem is, say for example, I have a player who catches a ball at the 50. I either have to have an animation that shows him going down to make the catch so that it can be challenged, or he has to be tackled immediately, which I can then debate whether or not he dropped the ball or made the catch. Or it's an unchallengeable ball, right? So if I don't have an animation that allows it to look like he dropped the ball, I can't really say he dropped the ball, can I? I mean, I can. But I have a plan for challenges. That has a success chance based on how obvious or how likely or how off the close. My issue is I don't have high level graphics like Madden. So, and I don't know that I will have even required number of animations to here to show potential challenge opportunities. But, for example, there was a pass caught that the ref that was stated as incomplete. I would at least need an animation that shows the player on the ground as he catches, or tackled as he caught it. But this is a lot of animations to generate Visual fidelity can make or break the believability of a challenge system, but you don't need Madden level polish to make it immersive and satisfying. Here are a few ways to simulate challenge-worthy moments without needing dozens of bespoke animations. Leverage ambiguity. Use camera angles and timing tricks to obscure the moment of catch contact. Yeah, but see, that's camera crap. Let the player see a replay that suggests catch or drop, but doesn't confirm it. These create tension and makes the challenge feel more meaningful. See, that's, again, AI doesn't understand that this is not easy. This creates tension and makes the challenge feel mean. Oh yeah, but still you have to create these. And then how do you reuse it? What if it's what if it's two different teams? Then I got to have different meshes on the video, and oh god, I don't look forward to that. Break, catch, and tackle sequences into modular chunks: jump, mid-air contact, ground impact. Blend them dynamically based on context, ball location, defender proximity. You don't need full mocap sets, just enough to imply variation. Yeah. Ugh. Text and replay hybrid. Use a text commentary overlay during challenges. Coach is arguing the receiver had control before hitting the ground. Pair it with a replay that reuses existing animations but adds drama through framing and slow-mo. Think of it like a visual novel label. See, I want to have challenges, but I really think they're not going to be any kind of visual to them. It's just out of my... I don't know. It's out of my wheelhouse. An animation that shows a ref looking at a camera or looking at video might be cool, but you only get 2 anyway. You may get a bunch of chances to challenge stuff. Maybe you'll get very few because, like I said, certain things will be unchallengeable. And you won't be able to see everything anyway because my game is not going to be Madden level detail. You're not going to be able to go, hey, wait a minute, that looks weird. No, you're not going to be able to do that. The game will tell you. It has come down from upstairs that this thing could be off. Do you want a challenge? And then you can choose. You'll have a, percent chance of success option. These are the things that can be challenged. That's my strategy for that. And then if they succeed, then you get this. If you fail, imagine a system where to trigger a challenge, the game shows a replay with dramatic music, slow-mo. See, that's like a text box narrates the controversy. Then ref announces the decision based on your logic engine. It's immersive, low cost, and lets you scale up visually later. Yeah, but this is visual. Slow, dramatic music, slow motion, and camera cuts. That's trigger a challenge, you get some text narration, and the ref announces the decision based on your logic. I can see that. But I think what I will do though is if somebody challenges, there will be a clock ticking. It's like it's going to go tick 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 tick. Because I want there to be a little suspense while you're waiting for the call. Not too long, but enough that you're like, all right, is this going to go my way? Or is it not going to go my way? That's how I want to do it. I want it to be just enough where you just got this clock, this challenge clock running. How long is it taking them? And so you just feel a little nervous as to whether it's going to go your way or not your way. And then I have to make tweaks to how that works and how successful and how off, and there will be different things that can adjust. I got to figure out what is the complete list of challengeable plays in the NFL. Completed or incomplete. Had control of the ball. Whether a player was in bounds during a catch. Whether a player maintained possession through contact with the ground. Turnovers, whether a fumble occurred. Whether a player was down by contact. Whether a muffed punt or backward pass was legally recovered. Ball placement's the one I'm thinking of as the easiest. Whether a player crossed the goal line before being downed. Player status. Whether a player was down by contact. Whether a player was out of bounds. Isn't down by contact kind of the same thing with turnovers? Number of players on the field. Oh yeah, you can do that. I didn't know that one. Kicking plays. Whether a field goal or extra point was missed or good, only if not automatically reviewed. Whether a field goal or extra point was missed or good. Wow, does that actually happen? Has there ever been an uncalled? I mean, you got two guys standing under the post watching the ball. How do they not call it? Is it like because it goes over the beam and they can't tell if it's over the beam or not? Why? How does that? Maybe that's on the average. How many plays in a game might even be challengeable? How many challengeable plays even occur in a game? Well, there's no official stat. We can triangulate based on game structure and coach behavior. Total plays per team per game. Total plays per game, 120 to 130 combined. Coach challenges per game, usually 1 to 2 total, combined between both teams. See, they don't even use up all their challenges. But I don't think that means that there's not more challengeable plays. They just don't do it because they don't know when it's good, because most coaches prefer to wait until, when it really means something. They just ignore the little stuff along the way, including automatic 3 to 4 per game. Of those 120 plus plays, roughly 5 to 10 might be visibly challengeable. Sideline catches, fumbles, spot of the ball, incomplete versus incomplete passes, down by contact calls. But only a fraction are actually challenged because coaches must weigh risk versus reward. Some plays are automatically reviewed. Others are too ambiguous or not worth the gamble. If you're building a challenge, you don't need to simulate dozens of edge cases per game. Instead, surface 2 to 4 plausible challenge moments per game. Use your logic engine to determine visible ambiguity and coach confidence. Let the player feel like they're spotting something the ref missed. Want help modeling? No, well, not right now. I'll probably figure that out. I'm just trying to think. I want to come up with a system that creates challenges, but not always. I don't want a bunch of them, but you should have opportunities throughout the game to maybe challenge. But it's going to be like a random occurrence. So you may get very few, you may get multiple, you may get 5 to 10, like it says. Ultimately, and then you can kind of say, maybe you don't even have certain plays get presented to your coach because certain coaches are looking for every little thing and certain coaches might not. Some coaches, are challenge averse, so they only want absolute sure thing challenges. You know, like high percentage. Won't review challenges with less than an X% chance of success. So it won't even show them to them. Will consider any challenge. Might not call any challenge, but he'll at least consider it. So yeah, it's a matter of trying to build a system that is fair. Oh, I know where you are. Hold on, be right back. I was wrong. I don't know. I thought I knew where my... I don't know what's going on, man. It says I have a new follower on Instagram. It's like, why? I haven't put anything on Instagram in like months. So we got PAX going on this weekend. I've been to PAX twice. Once I actually got tickets when I was... Okay, to be truthful, I've actually been to PAX 3 times. The first time I went to PAX, it was this little winky-dink little 700-800 person thing. It was like their very first year, and it was like in one of these local smaller cities. And then over the next few years, it just ballooned. It went nuts. Next thing you know, the next few years later, it's like 60,000 people or some crazy amount of people. And so now and then the tickets sell out in like 5 minutes online. So you have to know the day it's going, when they're going live, be online, be ready to go, and try to order. And then you get your tickets. And one year, I actually got extra tickets, and I sold them for like twice what they were worth. Mainly, I wasn't trying to do that, but I knew some people who wanted to go with me, or who were thinking about going with me. So I bought tickets for everybody who I thought was going, and a couple people backed out. So I sold the tickets. And ultimately, those paid for all my other tickets. So it was like free for us to go. It's kind of what I like to do. If I can't buy like an extra ticket, and it would sell for as much as my other tickets all combined, because it was like $60 a person at the time. It's probably crazy now, like 100 and some, but at the time I ended up selling tickets for like 250 because somebody really wanted to go, and I was like, all right. So I sold them the tickets. They paid me. But I haven't been able to go back because it's just too much. So I was working on trying to build. I had to change my. So I have now West Mongmon. The West Mongmon arachnids are the Washington Commanders. Yeah, I had to create the West Mongmon because I was using the Redskins. And then I was thinking, I wonder if I should change that and actually turn them into something else. And then when a team changes their name or city or whatever, it's like those players, the only ones exist, the only those players that existed at that time will ever be in the league. They'll still be in there, those players, but if the league changes names or cities, then we create a new mascot and we got new players coming in, and they're no longer that species of character. So that means I gotta create a new character when that happens. Anyway, all right, let's go back. All right, punt return. What time is it? Have I hit my time? Oh, I'm way over. All right, that's it for now. I'll finish these kick return and punt return, and I should be able to get these done hopefully fairly quick. Till next time, God bless.